Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at nerve impulses and what that looks like in a few diagrams. So to start off with, let's have a look at this bottom diagram here. So this diagram is explaining how the signal goes down from the presynaptic neuron, passes along this way, and then to the postsynaptic neuron. So when there is an nervous response, so the nervous system detects something, often, or pretty much always, there is multiple neurons involved. And those neurons sort of communicate to each other to transfer that action potential, which is called the sort of another term for the nerve impulse. It transfers the action potential from one neuron to the next. So the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron, they're just explaining which one carries a signal towards the other one. So now let's talk a little bit more about some different terms. So we spoke about action potential. So the nerve impulse is transmitted along that neuron as an action potential. Okay, so direction of impulse transmission, direction of action potential. Okay, now what it actually is an action potential. It's a rapid electrical signal that travels along the axon of a neuron due to changes in the membrane potential. Now, you don't have to know the details about how this membrane changes its electrical potential. Um, I think you just need to know an overview of how that works. So basically, that change in membrane potentials allows a signal to move quickly from the cell body to the end of a neuron. It's a very quick process. Now, when that action potential reaches the end of the neuron, this is known, or this neuron is known as the presynaptic neuron. Once it reaches the end, it triggers the next stage, which is called synaptic transmission. Okay, now synaptic transmission. So that's referring to what's going on in this little area here. So when the two neurons communicate to each other. And that's what this diagram here is showing. So at the axon terminal, the electrical signal, it causes vesicles. It causes vesicles containing neurotransmitters to fuse with the membrane. So these little things here are vesicles, and then they will move and they will fuse with the membrane, which is what this diagram is showing. You don't have to know all these different elements and stuff. You just need to know the overview of it for now. So these vesicles will move towards the membrane and release their contents into the synaptic cleft. And that is this gap here. So this gap is called the synaptic cleft. All right. And that is a small gap between the two neurons. Now, once these neurotransmitters have been released into the synaptic cleft, and they then bind to specific receptors on the membrane of the postsynaptic neuron. So this is a postsynaptic, and we have receptors here. And those receptors are binding to these neurotransmitters here. So that's what's going on there. And when that binding occurs, it initiates a process called signal transduction, where this chemical signal here is converted back into an electrical signal. If the signal is strong enough, it generates a new action potential in the postsynaptic neuron, continuing the electrical transmission. So it'll continue up this way if the signal is strong enough. Now afterwards, these neurotransmitters are either broken down or they're reabsorbed to stop the signal and reset the synapse. Okay, so to quick summary, nerve impulse travels electrically along a neuron as an action potential, and then chemically across the synapse using neurotransmitters before being converted back into an electrical signal in the next neuron. All right, so that's a very quick overview and summary of nerve impulses. You may have to know more detail, just depends on what you learn in the lesson. But that's a brief overview of everything.